Welcome into the live desk on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Janae Hancock, joined by Sharon Chen.
Hi.
Sharon, welcome to the live desk once again. Sharon, I'm so fascinated by your story. It's actually topic of conversation here in the newsroom right now. Something I didn't know is that Kansas City has been found to be one of the deadliest cities for birds.
Yeah,
Why
crazy,
is
right?
that? I mean, I feel like it's an unknown fact.
It is an unknown fact. Bird collisions in general, I think it's the estimated number is 1 billion a year. Now that in itself is crazy.
Yeah.
And Kansas City, believe it or not, does rank as one of the top 10 deadliest cities for birds.
Which
We're
is
talking,
insane.
7th in springtime, 8th in fall. And it is insane when I saw this statistic. And of course, it had me asking immediately, why? What's the,
Right.
what's the draw here?
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to this. Kansas City, where we are positioned in the United States, we're right in the middle of two main migratory pathways. And so we get a ton of birds passing through the city, up to maybe 1 billion at a time, sometimes flying overnight. Yeah, there you see it right there.
map,
I believe
yeah.
it's the Mississippi Flyway and the Central Flyway. So we hit right in the center of those two flyways. So because of that, we get millions of birds passing over our city. Now, the other aspect that is a big factor here is the fact that, you look at our city at night, it is so pretty.
It
It's so
is.
lit. The lights are so beautiful.
Right.
And then, when our Chiefs or Royals or whatever team is on a hot streak, we light the city up in the colors. Well, it's these lights that draw the birds in.
That
And
is
so
so fascinating.
yeah, isn't it? I know this whole story is completely fascinating to
Yeah.
me. So they're drawn in, they stop, they rest, and in the morning they get up and they start to forage, and unfortunately that is when they meet their demise. So you look at the windows there and you see how reflective they are, and they're reflective of the trees. So when the birds are foraging, they don't realize that what they see in the window is actually a window. So they fly straight into it, and that is how they die.
The reflection. So what building or what two buildings here in Kansas City are really claiming the lives of most birds?
So we spoke with BirdSafe KC, which is a nonprofit organization that goes around surveying all the different buildings downtown, and they keep watch over 24 of them. And the two worst are, I'm sure, as you can imagine, the T-Mobile Center, because it is mirrored all the way around,
Yeah.
and then also the old KC Star building. These two buildings claim hundreds of birds each year. And also another big one too is the Crown Center, some of the links there
Yeah.
too, also very bad for birds.
That is, I mean, it's sad.
It
very,
is.
very sad because, I mean, we never want to see birds or anything else for that matter having collisions and ending up dead. But what needs to happen? You spoke to 3 different women within your story. What are they saying needs to happen in order for this to come to an end?
Well, I mean, obviously the windows downtown, they are working with architects maybe to try to redesign or put in some mitigation efforts to try to cut down on these bird collisions. But the other part of this story too is the fact that excuse me, these bird collisions aren't just happening downtown. They're also happening in your neighborhood. So almost half of the other, the billion number of bird collisions that happen every year, the other half of that number is what happens in your neighborhood, birds running into residential homes. And so we spoke with the Burroughs Audubon Society. They have a beautiful nature building, nature center
Right.
up in, I believe it was Blue Springs area. And they have some great examples, just simple examples of what you can do to secure your home, including a wind curtain, which is basically made out of parachute cord.
I
And
thought that was so
there it is, right there. You
interesting.
can see
Yeah.
it. It looks like bars. It's not. It's parachute cord. So it moves when the wind blows. And so these birds know, oh, well, that's not actually trees we're seeing.
Right.
That's not a thing that we can fly through. And then the other thing too is they have bird tape too. So there's just a bunch of a various number of mitigation measures that people can buy, and just simple installations that they can make on their home to keep this from happening.
And as far as being at work, I want to go to the comment that we kind of talked about before we hopped on this live stream, as someone commented earlier saying, I've heard turning office lights off when leaving for the night can actually help. So can you speak a little bit more about that as well?
Yes, absolutely, because we just talked about the lights, the beautiful lights shining at night from, our downtown. There is actually an initiative that's happening because of the number of bird collisions that happen across the U.S. every year. It is like a nationwide effort called Lights Out. And so we also have Kansas City Lights Out. This is actually a proclamation that was, I think they passed it just a couple of weeks ago in Kansas City Council. So basically what that is it's a movement for people to just turn out your lights at night, because without these lights, these birds won't get drawn in, and then hopefully these numbers will go down and these birds will survive.
And it all kind of starts with the architects as well. I mean, the planning process of it all and designing how these buildings are going to look.
Yeah, and I actually spoke with a woman, Kayla Anton, who is teaching a class to the architects, an architectural class here in Kansas City, because she said, the harder part is when you get to address this problem after the buildings are built. You got to get to it beforehand. So she's teaching these architects to design buildings that are bird friendly, and that may include, using less glass, especially glass walkways. Those are the worst for birds. And then, of course, the mirrored glass we talked about. But she also says there's new design features that you can incorporate into buildings too, like etched glass. But then also some of the buildings you see in downtown, you already see the bottom portion of the building, there's pictures that are on the windows. That is actually a bird mitigation technique too.
Oh wow. Things you don't even think about.
Right.
And I mean, we drive past the T-Mobile Center maybe every week, every day, and don't even think about, what does this mean for birds? How are they impacted? But I think the main mission here, as we can see here on our website, is to really get Kansas City off of that top 10 deadliest cities list for birds. Just such an interesting and fascinating story, Sharon. Where can we learn more, and where can we watch this full story?
Well, the story airs tonight at 10, but I have to say that, we're so limited in time when we put these together for broadcast, and there is so much to this story, so much information, but also what you can do to keep these birds safe. And as Janae is scrolling through right now, our web article is full of information for people.
And again, it airs tonight at 10. I do want to stop on this part of our website, this part of your web story, because it actually lists the birds that have fallen victim, that often fall victim. So very interesting. Also some pictures and graphics, as you just saw. So head to our website, kctv5.com. And Sharon, thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk for this week's edition of Behind the Story.
All right.